In addition to their major decision coming on tariffs this week, the United States Supreme Court also agreed to hear a case which started on Monday, a case of Trump v. Slaughter. And in that particular case, conservative lawyers who have been chomping at the bit to do this for years brought the case to the Supreme Court, arguing that the President of the United States is effectively the unitary executive, and therefore they have the power to do everything and anything they want within that executive branch, up to and including firing any and all officials without cause, without reason, without notice. They can do whatever they want because they are in charge of the executive branch. Legal scholars for decades have debunked this unitary executive theory that conservative lawyers and law firms have been pushing, basically telling us that no, the founders wanted a system of checks and balances. They wanted to have a strong judiciary, a strong legislative branch to keep the executive in check. They did not want, as pretty much everybody knows that had normal history classes, a king. It's what they were getting away from. So they didn't want that here, so they limited the power of the executive branch. And of course, ever since then, the power of the executive branch has grown tremendously beyond their worst nightmares. And this move with this case to be able to just dismiss anyone and everyone and exert your personal control over every government agency and department is that's the end game for conservatives. That's what they've been wanting. But I gotta tell you, it's pretty dumb. And we all know why it's pretty dumb, right? See, here's what I love about conservatives and just how stupid they are. Because I genuinely, in my heart of hearts, I believe conservatives are just the dumbest people on the planet. And they prove it time and time again. And here's why. They can't look more than like 2 days down the road. That's how dumb they are. Because is Donald Trump going to be president forever? Regardless of what he says about a third term, polls already show his own voters don't even want that, so that's not happening. The country will survive in one way or another. A constitution will. And somebody else is going to be president one day. Somebody else is going to be president in 3 years and 2 months, folks. And there's a good bet the next person is probably not going to be a Republican. And then do you know what that next president gets? All of these awesome new powers that conservatives are at the Supreme Court right now saying, please give all of this to the president. Because they don't think ahead. Because they're not smart enough to realize you're not always going to have that office, okay? Yeah, the pendulum swings, all of that. So eventually a Democrat's going to get in there and y'all will have just handed them a whole hell of a lot of new powers to undo all the damage that Trump does if you get your way at the court. Huh. Kind of funny how that works out, right? But again, if you guys were smart, you'd have thought of that. Luckily for the country, you're not smart, and you're actually giving the next Democratic president the tools they need to undo very quickly most of the damage that Donald Trump is doing right now. So thank you for that. Scientists recently discovered a new evolutionary trait in puppies, and it's that they cannot grow up and reach their full potential unless you subscribe to this channel. Don't do it for me, folks. Do it for little Atlas and Judge here. Good boys. You do good. You want to say something? No? Okay.